G'day guys, and welcome back to the WGL APAC Season 2. We've just seen our first match of today go the way of Meltdown. This time though, it's going to be Caren Tiger up against the DarkWolves, and historically speaking, this match has gone to game number 9, both times that we've seen these two teams face, but I still feel like this one weighs a little bit more, or is weighted a little bit more in the favour of Caren Tiger.
Well, you say that. I feel as though it's going to be a little bit too early to call that, and a little bit too hard to call that this early, because Caren Tiger, obviously we've only seen them play once so far, and that was very hot and cold when we did see them play. DarkWolves haven't seen them play yet this season, and they have had a few roster changes, maybe not as many as someone like Meltdown, but still quite a few. So this, for me, is very much up in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to call, definitely, but just going off last season's stats, I still think, and what we saw from Caren Tiger when they were up against Horsemen, it did seem quite good, but we'll have to go ahead and see how things have gone here. As you said, they've had a lot of roster changes. DarkWolves have brought a lot of new players in. They've taken a lot of players out, so wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe improving on their performance from last season. I think they placed 7th last season. At the end of the season. So, definitely a decent ability to be able to put themselves at a higher position.
For sure, for sure. So, well, I think in this matchup, without having seen DarkWolves play, I've got a feeling that this season they are going to be a little bit stronger. So I'm going to actually be predicting that DarkWolves take this one out 5-3 to Caren Tiger. What about you?
I think it's the exact scoreline, but the other way around. I think Caren Tiger have got this 5-3.
Fair enough. All right, guys, let us know what you think is going to happen in this series, either in the Twitch chat or with the hashtag WGL APAC. Make sure you tag us as well so we can get involved, give you retweets, favourites, all of that fun stuff. Everyone loves it. Oh, they're called likes now, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm always with
Same
the times
diff,
up
same
in.
diff.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, definitely let us know what you think or who you think is going to be the winner of this match. And I know as well, this season we've had a good little start and some interesting predictions that have kind of look to be coming close to coming true, but then just gone the complete other way, like that Caren Tiger match yesterday that I predicted, 5-1, ended up being my original prediction of 5-3.
Yeah.
So
it's very hard to call this early in the season. I mean, we've got a little bit to base things off from last season, but you can't draw too many conclusions from that. So a lot of these predictions that we're making are really stabs in the dark. I mean, we are sort of informed as to how things are going to go here, but it is kind of a guessing game, estimated guessing. I think
exactly.
But
educated guess. It's an educated guess.
It is, exactly. That's right. So let's go ahead and have a look and see what's going on with this DarkWolves roster. As you mentioned, Alex, they have had a few changes in this lineup. They brought in Lambert, Spitz, AMX 5100, Binu, and Topping.
It's hard to say what those new players will be, really doing much as well without, we don't play in the Korean server, whereas, even in the APAC, so even in the Asia server, you might see some of the top, players if you're playing around random battles tier 10.
Yeah.
But obviously, being from the Korean server, it is very much an unknown what these players bring to the table here for the DarkWolves. So until we see them play, not going to know. But Backong, great to see he's still in there. Caviar made some big plays last season. Gormley is one of the highest damage blockers in last season, so loves playing those sturdy heavy tanks.
Alrighty, and on the other side of the coin, of course, their opponents, Caren Tiger, who we have seen yesterday, sort of broken down some of their changes, but they, of course, have added Marrow, Zenlon, and the Deco. Revo Ballista sub. They've lost a few of their players as well, but they did have some decent players yesterday.
Yeah, they have lost a few, particularly Shino Zakat. We talked about how much of an impact losing Shino Zakat, one of the star players from Caren Tiger last season, might have had in their lineup. But they've proven yesterday they can definitely win a few battles, even though some of them might not be as convincing as others. So still up in the air, and we haven't seen them on all maps yet. So very much, I think they've had some improvements to some areas. Like we saw yesterday, some early Caren Tiger plays that were very aggressive, very kind of determined and very, I suppose, kind of decisive is the word I'm looking for there, where we might not have seen that in Season 1 for Caren Tiger. We might have seen them just play a little bit more kind of reserved, a little bit more standard, slower as well often. So
yeah, well, we'll have to see how they go here against DarkWolves. I feel like in general, DarkWolves should probably be a little bit weaker of a team, so maybe Caren Tiger, they get off to a good start like they did against Horsemen yesterday. they will be able to maybe continue the form that they have instead of, you know, being turned around upon by the Horsemen, who, you know, obviously had a great comeback in that first game of the WGL APAC.
Yeah, there we go. Horsemen definitely with the biggest turnaround so far of the season. Of course, we've only played 3 games now, but looking pretty strong. And I think this match as well, I wonder how much these two teams have actually been scrimming against each other or practicing against each other, for those that may not know the lingo. Because it can be hard sometimes.
I don't think it would be a huge amount. I don't think Caren Tiger have been scrimming DarkWolves. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think Caren Tiger have a few different scrim partners that aren't the DarkWolves.
Yeah. I'm not too sure how much. I think Meltdown still scrims a little bit.
Maybe. I'm not so sure.
But anyways, let's take a look at the maps for this matchup here. First up is going to be Prokhorovka, the wide open map. Next up, Ruinberg there, Steps, Himmelsdorf, and then the tiebreaker, if we get that far, is Cliff. So overall, some fairly standard maps. I think it's safe to say Prokhorovka there, going to be the pick from DarkWolves, which I think it suits them kind of okay. Ruinberg, probably going to be a 1-1 in my opinion. Steps, I think that's one of the maps where with these new tanks, it's really opened up a few new play styles and kind of closed off a few of the older ones a little bit more at least. So be interesting to see what happens on Steps.
Yeah, Himmelsdorf, the one to round that one out, being the pick of, well, not the pick, I guess, of DarkWolves, the one that remained. Cliff, obviously, the tiebreaker coming out as well. Haven't seen that so far today. We're interested to see how this one starts off. Prokhorovka had not been the greatest of maps for DarkWolves last season. 50% win rate, pretty much. Actually, they had quite a decent defensive side, but not a great offensive side. And on the side of Caren Tiger, they had a very good attacking side on Prokhorovka, but 0% win rate on the defensive side. So, bit of a flip between those two teams.
Yes, bit of a flip indeed. But look, I think Caren Tiger, look, they've got a lot of experience in the WGL Gold Series. You know, they've been in here for a number of seasons now. Obviously, last season they did come close to making it to our
one round away
season finals. 1 round away. So
team efficiency that stole that position away from them with a win on Prokhorovka, incidentally, in the tiebreaker.
That was a good game. Prokhorovka. Well, speaking of Prokhorovka, guys, it is just about time to head onto the open grassy map that is Prokhorovka and head across the fields, over the rail tracks if you so desire, and into one of the 2 flags that's on the open areas of the map. So I think it's time to find out what these teams are going to be doing with their strats, whether we see any interesting tanks picked as well. It's time to find out.
Certainly is. FV215B, T125, Caren Tiger looking pretty standard there. And across the other side of the board, DarkWolves have got themselves an STRV 103B, but aside from that, pretty much standard fare on the attacking side of Prokhorovka.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I love the STRV 103B. I'm sure we'll see that more. Look, I mean, Madhouse made it work for TCZ. I think it's a very good tank for DarkWolves to be picking. If we recall back to Season 1, they were a team that did pick some of those interesting tank destroyers. They did occasionally play the FV215B 103. They did occasionally play the FV4005. So the STRV, S-Tank, perfect pick for them. And IS-7, I love that on the attack on Prokhorovka. It just gives you more options.
Alrighty, well, DarkWolves starting off on the attacking side. We'll see what they decide to do. Looks like they're heading over towards the 2 flag side of the map, so the eastern side of the map. Batkong and Polly are going to spot each other out there in towards the middle of the map. Neither of them actually taking any damage just yet, so I think both of them are going to be quite happy with how things have gone there.
Yeah, not too bad. Right now, both of those RU-251s just heading out around the place. We are seeing a very aggressive defensive positioning from Caren Tiger right now. They're moving up towards the hill with most of their tanks. And Zenlon there in the back chat trying to get a shot on towards Batkong. Not going to make it work just yet. But DarkWolves are moving up there to the hill, but it's looking like they've spotted out maybe a couple of tanks or seen some of those shots coming out from the hill and decided not to move up there, which I think is a good move, because if they were moving up there, they would be running right through the open ground.
I like this a lot from Caren Tiger. They have got a great position to find themselves in. Polly, oh, has he flipped himself? No, he's okay. He's okay. I thought he might have flipped himself. It looked a little bit funny from this far away, but yeah, he can spot all those tanks out, and you could see Caren Tiger just getting a bunch of free damage into Caviar there to start things off, and really shutting down that initial push from the DarkWolves. Now Spitz has been spotted out in that STRV. Takes a shot.
Yeah, that's... that was a shot of over 700 damage, I think, in the STRV. So, Spitz really needs to be a little bit more careful there. And the question is whether DarkWolves should have... were a little bit too slow to make the push up towards that hill. They definitely got caught with their pants down, so to speak. And right now, paying the price as they have to rotate, have to kind of regroup over the northern side of the map. Batkong there, spotting out, being the kind of forward scout for his team, making sure that they're not running into any traps. And a couple of them, actually, DarkWolves are staying back. Spitz, Binu, and Caviar maybe fend off any late pushes from Caren Tiger across that J line.
Upa pushing his way forward in that FV215B. He's going to be able to proxy spot Lambert, who's taken a shot from Zenlon, and actually a second one is going to penetrate this time. So Lambert in a very difficult position now. Zenlon is quite happy to just keep pumping shells into these enemy tanks, and he's pretty much finished off his clip there. I think he got all 5 shots off, all bar 1 penetrating. Good little passage of play there for Caren Tiger.
Yeah, well, exactly. Great play from Caren Tiger. Not great play from Lambert, just getting caught with his pants down, so to speak, there. The T110E5, look, it's great when you're doing what Lambert's doing, and there's no tanks on your side of the hill, but oh, look at this, Batkong catching out Akio V.
Revolution also giving his teammate some backup. Polly is also actually taking some damage off screen there for Caren Tiger, down to 7, but for the moment, the action is all on T110E5 here of Akio V. Nadeko does take down Batkong in the RU251, but Binu trading out Akio V in that T110E5. Can Caren Tiger take advantage of the reloads that DarkWolves are going to have?
Yes,
they can. They've picked up so many kills off the back of that, and I think Caren Tiger are going to be able to secure this first round of Prokhorovka.
Yeah, looking very good for Caren Tiger right here as Yupa puts some shells in towards the back end of Gomli there in that IS-7. Gomli gets a consolation prize, but he is going to be going up in smoke right after that. And Caren Tiger, very, very nice reactive play there. He got off to a nice early lead, taking some of those DarkWolves players down when they pushed a little bit too far out towards that hill. Great little reaction when one of them was caught out as well. And unfortunately at this point, I don't think the S-Tank is going to see its record of 100% win rate in the WGL continued, as Caviar now one of the last 2 remaining players alive for the DarkWolves.
Caviar no longer alive. Mordame picking up that kill, and it is just Spitz now. 238 HP left. He's going to back away, but that's really all he can do at this stage. Not much chance of him picking up really all that much here. So Caren Tiger with a successful defense here on Prokhorovka. DarkWolves going to be back to the drawing board. They'll be moving over to the attacking side. To the defending side, sorry.
To the defending side, exactly, yeah. DarkWolves on the attack at the moment, and it's not been a very successful one, as Mordame is going to clean up Spitz there with the last kill of the battle. And yeah, just like that, not even 5 minutes in, and a fairly comfortable, I think, win there for Caren Tiger.
Really what I think happened there was Caren Tiger, they read the play from the DarkWolves, they took control of that hill early on in the piece, and DarkWolves, that was their strategy, was to try and get up towards that hill, but as soon as Caren Tiger took that area, DarkWolves were out of position. Caren Tiger had a bunch of free damage and continued to force their advantage as well. They managed to get the positional advantages early on in the piece, and well, I've said advantage a lot, but I'm going to say it again, they took advantage of it.
Yep, they did. You like watching Caren Tiger take advantage of those DarkWolves there. Definitely showing who is the prime predator in the matchup so far to start things off. But I think DarkWolves, they can come back from that. I mean, look, I think it was just that early mistake that really rattled their cages a little bit. Yeah, kind of scared the chickens out of the coop, so to speak.
Yeah, it didn't look all that comfortable at all from DarkWolves. I mean, as soon as their strategy was sort of foiled, they didn't really seem to know what they wanted to do there.
For sure. Well, let's take a look if we can have a bit more of an idea of how much damage both of these teams ended up dealing. Might give us a bit more of an insight into it. And Spitz in that STRV 103B, even though it didn't look like he was really having that much of an impact, did still deal 2.2k damage, and he was the last tank alive, but that's still a fairly decent number to have up there. Lambert there in the T125 for DarkWolves, 1602, but overall the story is very much Caren Tigers with 5 of the top 7 spots in damage dealt. And down the bottom, well, Bino Batkong and Revolution in the bat chats, and the RE251 not having a great amount of damage, but more than 0. We've seen a few donuts tonight, which
yeah, we definitely have. Yeah. Well, DarkWolves aren't going to be able to take too much away from that. I think they pretty much just got walked over by Caren Tiger, and they'll have to turn things around here in the second half of Prokhorovka. Hopefully they're going to get off to a little bit better of a start instead of what happened here in the first half.
Yep, I think so. So, well, we'll have to wait and see whether they do. And do you think we will be seeing the S-Tank again in the second half here?
From DarkWolves or from either team?
From either team.
I think there's a good chance we will. We've seen it, I think, every round so far that we've played on Prokhorovka today. It's a good tank. It's a good tank on that map. So
no doubt.
It's a very likely chance that we are going to see it picked, but it's whether or not Caren Tiger decide that they do want to play it. I think it's more likely on the defense. But, I mean, we saw Madhouse using it quite well on the attack.
Yep.
So it could go either way, but I'm going to go with, yeah, we probably will see it again.
Yep, I think that's a pretty safe bet. And like you said, just touching on it, sometimes these teams, even though there might be like a favoured tank to play on a map, if they're not comfortable with it, then they often just won't play it. I know that Team Efficiency, in some scrims earlier on last week, were thinking about what to play on couple of maps, and they said, oh yeah, we should play the STRV 103B, we should play the S-Tank, but then they're like, wait a minute, none of us can play it. So,
yeah, I mean, if you've got a team that's not comfortable, or no one on your team is comfortable playing a certain tank, then that's fair enough. You might as well just ignore it. There's no point putting yourself into a tank that you're not comfortable with.
For sure. If only they had me in their teams, Jordan, then, well, they could pick any tank.
Oh, if only, Alex, if only. Well, let's go ahead and have a look and see what we're going to be seeing coming out on Prokhorovka here.
No, S-Tank.
FE207, interesting.
Yeah. British Arty.
STB1 as well.
Okay. I mean, I like the STB1. Interesting looking lineup. Apart from that, we haven't got anything too crazy. WZ111 on the Caren Tigers side, they are going to be going with the T10 as their tier 9 in that regard, which I don't think I've seen the T10 too often on Prokhorovka.
No.
Interested to see how that works out. Quite a slow tank for Proc, and doesn't offer the armor that something like an IS-7 would, but I mean, maybe Caren Tiger know how to make it work. I'm not sure, but here we go. It's time to find out where these guys are going to be heading out to on the swapped sides now. And we'll be interested to take a look at Batkong in that artillery piece to see if he can make that work for the DarkWolves. It's definitely not a piece that we see very often, the FE207.
Big, I guess, big sort of splash damage coming out from the FE207. Don't necessarily have to hit tanks with it, but it can deal a lot of damage if you do manage to connect as well. It's obviously the British one, so follows, I guess, after the big Conqueror gun carriage in a sense.
Yep, absolutely. Probably my favourite RD, the Conqueror GC, but let's hold that thought as Polly just taken a shot, and the Caren Tiger pushing very aggressively up towards the 2 flag. I really like this from Caren Tiger. They're not letting that artillery piece get any kind of early shots in towards them. Really, they're just pushing right on towards that flag, putting the pressure on early, and just probably going to be setting up on towards this 2 flag, getting a bit of a camp set up, getting hold down in their WZ111, the T10, and with those heavy tanks across the row yard, that's going to be a bit of an effort for DarkWolves to get through easily.
The DarkWolves did just sort of start to fall back a little bit there as soon as those guys got on the cap, but now they're going to have to make their way very quickly in towards this 2 flag side of the map because, well, 13 seconds left on that clock. DarkWolves definitely need to get a wriggle on here. That reset is going to be quite difficult to get here, maybe relying on the artillery. One of those tanks has actually left the cap, and Caren Tiger are now going to try and take the fight to the DarkWolves. They've managed to bait them over here with that cap timer, and now the damage is going to be incoming. But Caren Tiger, for the moment, actually do seem to be looking like the ones who are taking the damage themselves.
Oh, and look at this. They're coming over the rail track, down the top of the map there, up near the 6 line, and they're going to be focus firing down towards Gomley first. And look at that Helkarai there in the bat chat taking some more shots. Revolution gets one towards Polly. Helkarai's going to be going right in towards the DarkWolves there, but he's not paying the price yet. Revolution now in a lot of trouble. And DarkWolves, they didn't really capitalize too much on the Caren Tiger coming across the rail track, but CT are very much below in terms of all of their hit point pools at the moment, but they've only lost one tank. DarkWolves have got 2 down.
It did seem like DarkWolves got off to a great start there early on in the piece, but all of a sudden Caren Tiger have brought this one back. They've only lost 1 tank. DarkWolves have lost 3, and on a, well, it does seem like Caren Tiger now have a pretty good advantage. A couple of low tanks on their side, but they should have the guns in the game here to be able to take advantage of the extra damage that they might be able to put out. That's a miss from the T10 of Nadeko, but it shouldn't cost the Caren Tiger guys all that much.
Yeah, no, that was a very slow shell and definitely a hard-to-hit shot, but Nadeko is going to be able to picking up that next kill as the DarkWolves get dropped to their last remaining 3 tanks. And the issue for DarkWolves is that they haven't been able to close out these kills. They haven't focused fire quite effectively enough. And again, they're taking their shots against Zenlon, who is the most HP on Caren Tiger at the moment. They need to get these guns off the field.
Oh, a good shot from Batkong in the FV207 does take down AkiOV, but really that's going to be all that
miss.
Artillery has probably done there, and Bino and Caviar basically just trying to survive for as long as they can, but in reality it's just going to be another win on the board here for the Caren Tiger.
Yep, it's looking like that unless Caviar can pull off something miraculous right now, which is looking unlikely.
He's just come off the reload there, if I can judge those sounds correctly. It sounded like it was a shell going into the gun of Caviar. So at least he's got that to work with. He can one-shot Helkurai, Polly, maybe even a Deco if he gets a good roll.
Yep.
But Zenlon definitely is going to take 2 shells.
So yeah, that's going to be the issue with Zenlon. And just the fact that there's 4 guns on the Caren Tiger field. Caviar, I mean, it's good that he's on 854 HP though, but it is really 2 shots from any of those tanks.
I mean, in theory, he can technically clip the entire team.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It depends how they play, I guess. It's looking like Caren Tiger is still staying in the same general field of fire, which is going to be very tricky for Caviar to try and get out of. And even if Caviar takes 1 shot when he takes down a player, it's not going to work. You know, oh, actually, Nadeko is looking the wrong way. Oh, no.
The shot. Well, that was going to be that. Anyway, Nadeko does close things out. It was pretty wishful thinking there for Caviar, but you know what? He could have given it a crack. In the end, though, it is Caren Tiger to pick up 2-0 to start things off here on Prokhorov.
Start there by Caren Tiger here on Prokhorovka, and look, that one, I mean, it could have been a lot closer if the DarkWolves had just prioritized their targets a little bit better. They just needed to take those guns off the field. There were still 4 Caren Tiger players remaining right at the end, and they shouldn't have been simple as that.
Yeah, and the focus fire, like you said, it just wasn't there for the DarkWolves. So Caren Tiger, yeah, I thought it was a little bit risky to go over those tracks early on. They could have actually just sat on that cap. They had like 10 seconds left. I'm not sure how easy it would have been for the DarkWolves to get that reset. Probably could have come off the artillery piece, but you never know. In the end, Caren Tiger decided to take the fight to the DarkWolves, and initially it didn't look like it was going to work out. They took a lot of damage early, but they somehow brought it back and really put DarkWolves under the pump. Yeah,
well, good on them for doing so. DarkWolves definitely feeling the pressure in that one, I think. But let's take a look at what damages were coming out from the DarkWolves. We did actually see Bino in that IO7 doing a lot of work, and you know, credit to him where credit is due. 3.2k damage in the IS7 on a losing team. He put the damage out, that's for sure. Spits in the bat chat for DarkWolves again, 2.2k damage, but look at that, the tier 9 AkiOV, highest damage dealer on Caren Tiger with 2.7k. Big 130mm gun coming into its own.
Now on the other side of the scoreboard, nothing too crazy coming out there. The FV207 of Batkong did a reasonable amount of damage for a tier 8 artillery, but didn't seem to have really all that much pressure or effectiveness coming out from that tank.
Yeah, it wasn't high impact, I guess, but I mean, 1.2k damage, you can't really complain as an artillery piece, particularly when it was a very aggressive push coming out from Caren Tiger. The artillery didn't get a chance to really sit down, hunker down, and get a lot of accurate shots off. It wasn't a long game, so 1.2k damage in that scenario, not too bad at all in my opinion.
Alrighty, so moving over to the second map in the pool, Ruinberg. It is going to be Caren Tiger's pick. The next two maps, in fact, are Caren Tiger's pick. So Ruinberg and then Steps. And, well, Ruinberg could definitely work out here for Caren Tiger. We kind of expect generally that it's going to be a 1-1. I think a 1-1 would be fine for Caren Tiger. Put them in a 3-1 sort of a situation. Moving on to Steps, there's potential to close it out on that map.
Yeah, I think so. And, well, hopefully for DarkWolves' sake, they do manage to change things around a little bit and come right back into this match. But whether they will or not, I'm not too sure. I think they're picking some interesting tanks. I do still like picks like that artillery piece, you know, like the STRV I've been seeing. But, yeah, I think that Caren Tiger's just playing a little bit better than them at the moment. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Having a look at the stats from last year on Ruinberg, it was a map that DarkWolves didn't seem particularly comfortable on. They only had overall a 47% win rate. They did have a reasonable attacking side, but the defending side really did let them down. On the side of Caren Tiger, 63% overall, so they're feeling a little bit more comfortable about this map. And, you know, I think off that, I'm almost feeling like I can back Caren Tiger here for a 2-0.
yeah, you reckon Caren Tiger 2-0?
Let's lock it in, Eddie.
Lock it in, Eddie. Well, there you go. There's Jordan's predictions, but I'm not too sure if I agree. It is Ruinberg. Very rarely see it go to a 2-0, and Caren Tiger, not really a team known for starting off 4-0 in many games at all. So just based on that, I reckon it will be one apiece here. Going for a bit more of the safe prediction, if you will. And I think Caren Tiger probably going to win their attacking side. I like CT on the attack.
Interesting. Generally, the Ruinberg leans a little bit more towards the defensive side, but Caren Tiger do have a pretty decent attacking side on Ruinberg, or they did last season. It was 67% win rate, 12 played, 8-1, only 4 lost. So I think they'll be feeling pretty comfortable. Only 58% win rate on the defensive side. So maybe you're onto something with that one, Alex. As you can see, of course, Ruinberg, bit of a half and half map. Bit city, bit fields. Depends on which side the teams decide to push into as to what kind of battle we're going to be seeing.
Exactly, yeah, and lots of different options. You know, you can even go crazy and send an AMX CDC up to that northern cap, and you know, use that as a personal shield like we saw yesterday. But let's see if that teams are going to be doing that. The answer is no. We are going to be seeing a couple of T10s on DarkWolves and a T10 on the Caren Tiger side. So T10s seem to be the flavour of the day here, WGL APAC. And apart from that, nothing too crazy with the IS4 Caren Tiger. Probably going to be sticking that in a little pillbox somewhere. FV215B, we've been seeing a little bit of a resurgence of the FV215B, actually.
Yeah, we saw it a lot towards the early parts of Season 1, and then it kind of got replaced a little bit or foregone for 113, T125s, AMX50Bs.
Yeah.
Even IS7s, I think we started to see a little bit more towards the end of Season 1, but now it does seem like a few teams are pretty keen to pick up the FV215B, or at least one or two of them. Not necessarily the full or almost full team lineups that we used to see from the FV215Bs early on in Season 1.
Yep. So let's take a look at where these teams are rolling out to. Caren Tiger on the defensive side are going to be going for a fairly standard setup. It's a main town defense. So they put 6 out of 7 tanks at the town. Accio V is going to be waiting up at that one flag to guard that one out in the IS4. Not a bad move at all. In the meantime, DarkWolves actually pushing fairly aggressively up towards that 2 flag, but they've got 3 of their tanks up north and might be heading out towards the city for a bit of a flankaroo up towards that 1 flag as well. They have been spotted out, but Caren Tiger at the moment, they don't really want to move because they haven't spotted out those tanks up in that C1 area yet.
This is a rather interesting setup from DarkWolves, not something that we see all too often. I wonder what they're going to do here. I suspect maybe try and bait most of those Caren Tiger tanks over towards the 2 flag side of the map, get those bat chats up quickly in towards the 1 flag. Oh, but who knows? DarkWolves starting to force their way forward. I'm not so sure about this. It feels to me like they're pretty much just walking into a crossfire that Caren Tiger have got set up. They are able to do a little bit of damage over to Mordame, but Gomley, you can see, is taking lots of shots to the back of his tanks. Accio V is going to be very crucial in that position of his. Should go down relatively quickly to those bat chats. And for me at the moment, it feels like Caren Tiger not really taking advantage of those firing lines that they have at the moment. Mordame taking another shot there. Revolution taking one,
And
Gomli taking another, and DarkWolves in those bat chats
Up the
are
top.
streaming in towards the direction of AkiOV. He really needs to be careful here. If he can survive as long as possible, Caren Tiger on the other side of the map should be able to win the fight. Really, it's a race against time. Who can deal the most damage in this short amount of time? AkiOV does get one shot across. I think might have been into Spitz, but he's surely going to be going down here. There's not a whole lot that he can do, and he will go down. Overall, at the moment, it's a 2-for-2 trade. Caren Tiger with the HP advantage, but Zenlon very low on HP. Binu, the low HP player for DarkWolves, does go down to Yupa in the FV215B, and overall, it does seem like DarkWolves, their strategy not quite working out here. 3 tanks left on the field to the 5 available for Caren Tiger.
There we go. So Caren Tiger looking very, very strong in this one. And it was an interesting push from the DarkWolves, but at the end of the day, if you use 3 bat chats to take down 1 IS4 while the rest of your team gets wrecked, it is not quite worth it. That's a fact, as Caviar now taking a lot of shots. And at this point, I think Caren Tiger, they're smart enough, they're grouping up. They should be able to clear this one out as Yupa gets another kill. And Back Kong not looking too healthy either. Should be actually Caren Tiger taking out the win here on the defense. So, Jordan, your prediction of 2-0, it is coming closer and
still
closer.
alive.
It is still alive, very
But
much.
I would have to say, I think the attacking side of Ruinberg is going to be the real test here for Caren Tiger. They're probably, at least in my opinion, almost expected to win the defensive side.
Yep.
So I'm happy with that from Caren Tiger, but next round is really the question mark still for me.
Okay, fair enough. Well, there you go. DarkWolves going to be getting that one out, and I think that strategy there by DarkWolves, just thinking about it, those 3 bat chats late pushing up to the north and that 1 flag, I feel as though that would have definitely worked better if Caren Tiger had just happened to have 2 of their tier 10s defending out that 1 flag, as opposed to just AkiOV, just the 1. Because if you've got 2 there, then you can 3-on-2, you'll kill 2 without losing 1. If you just got 1, you kill 1, you spend 3 tanks. So it's not quite worth it, I think. If Caren Tiger had put the 2 there, which we do see sometimes, maybe the end result would have been different. But
well, yeah, I mean, it's all, I guess, theory crafting at that point of the game. You don't really know what sort of a defensive setup they had. DarkWolves didn't really do all that much scouting before they decided to push
Not
it.
a
So
lot,
I think
no,
that could have been part of the problem. Let's have a look at the post-battle stats, see if that reveals anything else for us here. Spitz actually did do a reasonable amount of damage there in his bat chat. He was actually shooting into the back of the IS4 that AkiOV was driving, so he's kind of padded his stats up a little bit there.
Raking in the credits on that one and the XP. But Polly there in the AMX 50B, the top damage dealer for Caren Tiger. Often see Polly up the top there. Yupa, Helkarai and Nadeko 2, 3, 4 and 5, or 3, 4 and 5 even. And Zenlon in the Batchat AP down the bottom on 528 damage.
AkiOV getting a couple of shots off in that IS4. I think that's a pretty reasonable result for him there, even though he went down so early. At least able to put his mark on the battle from his disadvantaged position. So, Caren Tiger 3-0 up here after the first 3 rounds. This is a pretty good start for them, but it's the exact same start that we saw from them up against the Horsemen. We were singing their praises yesterday at this time of the battle between those 2 teams, and then it ended up being 5-3, sorry, in the favor of Horsemen. So, let's hope, for Caren Tiger's sake at least, that is not going to happen again.
Hopefully. Hopefully it is not, but I guess we'll have to wait and see about that one. But I think Caren Tiger there, they'd be pretty happy if they can close this Ruinberg map out with a 2-0 victory and get themselves in the running for a 5-0 sweep if possible. I think it would be definitely one of Caren Tiger's first 5-0s if they've got it maybe early on in Season 1. They
might have had a couple, but I'm not so sure how many they would have actually had. It wouldn't be very many. A lot of their games go to 5-4. A lot of them go for the long haul.
Exactly.
But, you know, it just feels to me like Caren Tiger aren't going to let that happen here. But I think this round here is very crucial. If they can pick this one up, I'm backing them 5-0. But if they lose this one, I think we're probably in for a bit of a longer haul. You know, I can see maybe DarkWolves taking a bit of a resurgence off that victory, coming back, picking up 1, maybe even 2 on steps, and taking this through to the late stages of the series.
Well, there you go. I guess so. That's Jordan's predictions. I think that's, well, you can't really argue with that, but Caren Tiger should be able to get this one easily. Yeah. I'm saying so.
Attacking sided on Ruinberg.
Attacking sided.
I know you said you thought it was going to be a 1-1 with both teams picking up their attack, but I'm not so sold. We'll have to see what strategies Caren Tiger is going to be able to pull off here.
Okay, well, there's only one way to find out, and it would be interesting as well to, you know, to see whether these new tanks and some of these changes to other tanks, the buffs to tanks like the AMXs as well, have had much of an impact in these team strategy, whether it's opened up new doors, you know, being able to put something like a Kranwagen somewhere, being able to, you know, use the S-tank in some places, maybe not so much in Ruinberg, but some of the other maps that we've got later down the line, like Steps, definitely would be interesting to kind of get in the war room with these teams as they're planning out their strategies sometimes.
Well, the AMX 50B did get a buff before the start of this season. I don't think we've seen more AMX
not more,
50Bs
yeah.
than we did last season, so I don't think that's had a huge impact across the board. Thinking about all the other buffs, most of those tanks that did get buffed aren't really tanks that were used in the WGL, with the exception of the 50B,
Yep.
the 5120 and the 5100. But obviously we haven't seen any 120s or 100s. But the 50Bs, yeah, like I said, they just seem to be still probably roughly the same amount as what we saw last season.
Yep, I think so. So 50B is always a solid tank, really. I think it's always going to have its own role. It's fast, it does a lot of damage, and it's got a bit of a buffer. You know, like you can't really ask for much more than that, and that's why we do see it picked. So it's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think.
No, and well, really just looking forward to seeing what Caren Tiger are going to decide to do here on the attacking side. From memory, they didn't do anything particularly crazy on the attacking side of Ruinberg. So I think it's probably just going to be some standard stuff. I don't feel like they're the type of team to use IS-7s all that much, so I don't think we're going to be seeing somewhat of a similar strategy as what we saw B Gaming employing yesterday. You know, getting those IS-7s on towards that 2 flag, sitting them in that pillbox, getting hull down. It just doesn't feel like the Caren Tiger to me. I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more on the bat chat side of things. Some AMX 50Bs, they seem to want to do a little bit more damage as opposed to, you know, tank some shots.
Yeah, I think so. So will be interesting to see what they have locked in here. But overall, until now, we can only speculate until we do actually see what they've picked. But in the meantime, guys, let us know your predictions for the rest of this series with the hashtag WGL APAC on Twitter or on the Twitch chat down below. Of course, make sure you're watching our stream from live.wgleague.net because tomorrow, who knows, we might even have a few little goodies to give away if you're watching from there.
Alrighty, well, with all that said and done, I think it's time to head into our second round of Ruinberg. We'll find out what tanks are going to be coming out here for Caren Tiger on the attack, and that is interesting. 2 Mouses, Moise, coming out, and the T110E3 as well, so a very heavy-oriented lineup. And Email 2 comes out for DarkWolves. First time we've seen that one here in the WGL APAC, as well as an MX 5120.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Batcong, I'd say, on the Email 2. He's not afraid of trying new things from memory after last season. So I do like that pick. Whenever I see an Email in like a random battle, I always struggle up against it. I'm not sure whether it's just because I'm bad.
Probably that.
Or whether the Email's actually a really good tank.
Just got to shoot it in the hull or the side or the back of the turret. Really, its only strength, I think, is the front of the turret. So as long as you're not shooting it in the turret, you should be having a pretty reasonable time.
Yeah, well, I guess so, but I'll be very interested to see where these Mousers get off to as well for Caren Tiger. Particularly on the attack, we so rarely see that. I guess they're probably just
Not getting off to anywhere really all that quickly at the moment. Quite content just to sit and watch down that angle.
Not a big fan of the T110E3, as you know, but you know,
I do.
We'll see how it works out. Apart from that, the Bat Chats, Akiovi and Mudame and Telkarai, they should be able to have a nice little impact there. Mudame just sitting in the back. We've got Akiovi in a bush as well. Lambert looking down across that one line. That one flag in the IS-4. And I think at the moment we're seeing a little bit of movement potentially coming out from Caren Tiger as those Mouses are slowly lumbering their way down. And if I was Caren Tiger, I'd probably be moving them right around to the bottom of that 2 flag and kind of moving them up towards that 2 flag from the 8 line. Maybe kind of snaking them through around about that way, just to get on towards that flag cap.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but I don't think we've seen Caren Tiger playing a mouse last season?
Oh, I want to say once. I want to say once. For whatever reason, I know they do generally pick standard tanks, and they definitely didn't have the mouse strats like B Gaming, but I want to say maybe in one game they just picked it up for a bit of extra bulk or something like that, and it wasn't very kind of noticeable.
The reason I sort of pose that question to you is because Nadeko and Maro are the two players in the mouse, and those are the two new players on the team. So I wonder if this is a bit of a different direction to what Caren Tiger had, you know, sort of envisioned for themselves last season. Like I said before the match started, I didn't really feel like Caren Tiger was a team that wanted to, you know, be a team to pick up those super heavies and tank all the damage as opposed to deal the damage. But this time, those two new players on this lineup, they feel like they want to play those T110E3s. Yupa in a, sorry, the T110E3 on Yupa, the mouse, or the double mouse strat coming out on Nadeko and Maro. So maybe it is some sort of a new strategy that these guys are bringing into their lineup because of the entry of these new players.
Exactly, maybe, and they've gone exactly the way that we saw drawn on the map there. They have made their way on towards the 2 flag, and that is the most dangerous part of the journey done. Now they just have to kind of sit here and make sure they don't die, which is easier said than done, particularly now that the DarkWolves are starting to lay into them. We're seeing a few ricochets.
Yeah. That backcom email 2 has to go down here. I think Akio V is going to be the one to charge in there. I think the email might actually be on reload, but this has not worked out too nicely at all for the Caren Tiger. Sending your mouses in, you know, they need the backup, okay? Yeah. At the moment, it seems just like the mouses have driven in towards the cap circle and they've taken a bunch of damage from the DarkWolves. Caren Tiger haven't done all that much in response. Yupa, for his own right, is very, very low on HP. Polly backing him up here in the WZ-132, but really, how much of a help is he going to be? Helkurai, though, in the bat chat, does start things off, does get traded out, though. So overall, still not a bad situation for the DarkWolves here. Looks like Polly is going to be able to kill Revolution, so it's a 2-for-1 overall. As I say that though, now making it 2-for-2 is Caviar.
And those mouses are actually still alive, so even though they did get really focused down early on, I think those AMX 50Bs, etc., just had to clip and had to reload. But now one mouse has just gone down. Maro is still on over 2,000 HP as he's starting to get shot down now, but this is looking good for the DarkWolves. They've got to be a little bit careful of the T110E3, but health.
Yeah, it's a good shot. That's a good shot there from Yupa right into the side of Lambert. And Maro in that mouse. I think he's looking for another shot here onto Lambert, who will be able to connect it and get the kill, or get the damage across rather. Polly in the meanwhile getting the kill onto Binu. It's now a player advantage or tank advantage here for Caren Tiger.
Yeah, Caren Tiger looking not too bad, but Maro needs to try and stay alive. He needs to try and get some of those ricochets. He's angling his armor. That nice side armor of the mouse is not going to be enough to block a direct shot through it from Spitz in that AMX 5120, however. And I think now, Caren Tiger...
The problem, though, for Spitz there was he had to commit so hard in towards that mouse that he's now put himself in a pretty poor position. Should be a kill for that chat of Akio V, and there it is. Now 2 versus 2, Lambert. 17 HP. He could even get rammed by the bat chat and go down, but in the end, Akio V will be able to get the kill just with a nicely placed shell, and it's just down to Caviar.
Yeah, and unfortunately, at this point, Caviar is in a lot of trouble because he's in the AMX 50B. He's got to face off against a full HP bat chat, and Akio V, I'm sure, is just about reloaded by now because he's moving up. And the T110E3, which is blocking off a lot of kind of tricky routes he could use to get away. So really right now, Caren Tiger, they know roughly where Caviar is. Yupa's happy to move in, and you just can't deal with those two at once. Unless he gets, and I don't think a super high roll will.
No, I don't think you can roll 485 in a 50B. And even if he did, I mean, he still has to deal with Akio V. Like, there's not that much that he can do against that if he's already fired a shell into Yupa. And even then, I don't think he's going to be able to deal with Akio V if he has got a full clip loaded. Maybe if he gets a Mega Ram on, something like that. But wishful thinking at this stage. Akio V looks like he's just going to plonk himself on towards that 2 flag and bring Caviar to him.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still 4 minutes left. If we were down to something like minute 30, then or a little bit lower, then yep, I could see this maybe working. Caviar could just hide, run. But at this point, with both those tanks on that flag, Caviar should be able to live for long enough. The only possible way I can see him winning is if he can just like poke and hide for long enough to reset and get the timer tick down to 0. But with 3 minutes left, it's going to be hard.
Maybe, but he's going to take a direct shot there from
ya.
Yupa. Gets a shot into AkioV, but that's going to be all said and done. AkioV cleaning that one up. I think he might have got 3 or 4 kills throughout that round. So good work from him, but Caren Tiger now 4-0 up. That's the 2-0 on Runeberg. Moving on to Steps, I think this is going to be shaping up to be a 5-0, Alex.
I would not have thought that. Caren Tiger 5-0. If we get to it, of course, you know, there is still Steps, and they've obviously been very comfortable in our first map so far, but Steps is another ball game, very much so. Caren Tiger having the good strats there. I mean, you know, the T110 E3 and the 2 Mouses working out on Runeberg. Who would have thought?
Well, we've seen it before. B Gaming have employed the mouse strat on Runeberg. Has worked out.
Without the T110 E3,
that's
though,
true.
I don't think they did that.
It's a bit of a different
3 mouse.
Yeah, it's a bit of a departure. 3 or even 4 mouse it might have been. It was something crazy, but yeah, we have seen the mouses on Runeberg, not from Caren Tiger though. Overall though, it worked out quite nicely. I thought it was going a little bit shaky to begin with. I thought they might have bled a little bit too much free damage over to DarkWolves, but in the end, it doesn't matter when you pick up the win. Let's have a look at the post-battle stats here. Yupa, unsurprisingly, had a fantastic game in that T110 E3. AkioV as well was very strong in that batch. Had 4 kills for him, really pulling through in the late stages of that round.
Great bit of damage coming out from the mouse there as well. Marrow, 2.4 thousand in that one with 7 shots fired. So really making all of those shots count in the big super heavy tank. Apart from that, Spitz in the AMX 5120. I think that was a good pick. I actually like the AMX 5120 in these sorts of scenarios because when it can do 2k damage, even against mouse, you're doing all right in the Emil. Look at that. The Emil actually not doing too badly for the DarkWolves 1600.
Yeah, not so bad, but 1600 damage doesn't matter if you lose the battle. So some more thinking to do here for the DarkWolves, and I'm afraid I've got to say I think it's very much shaping up like the DarkWolves from last season. The DarkWolves that wasn't really all that competitive with some of those top teams, like Caren Tiger, for example, who did finish 5th/6th last season. So, you know, DarkWolves, again, struggling a little bit here in the WGL.
Yes, no, definitely having a rocky start. I think they're going to need to get their enhanced suspension on to drive over the obstacle that is Caren Tiger right now. And it is a big obstacle now that they are 4-0 up in this series with 1 game holding them out from a win here for Season 2 of WGL APAC.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't have predicted a 5-0 from Caren Tiger. I thought the DarkWolves' new changes might have held them in better stead for this season. And Caren Tiger losing Shinosaka, I thought that was going to be a bigger thing than obviously it's turning out to be. So, tricky. Yeah,
the story doesn't get any better either as we look at the stats here for Steps. DarkWolves, 38% win rate overall on Steps last season. Caren Tiger, 64%. So I think Caren Tiger coming into this one, even though the caveat is always there that these are changed lineups, there is enough for me there to think that Caren Tiger are going to be able to pull this one off quite easily on Steps, especially if they start off on the attacking side where DarkWolves on the defense had only a 27% win rate after 11 games.
Ooh, that's not ideal. 27% win rate. I would not like to be seeing that if I was DarkWolves, honestly. You've got to be a little bit disparaged if that's what you're thinking right now. You just got to get yourself out of the mindset, I think, get your team out of the mindset. I'm not too sure from memory who the shot caller for the DarkWolves is in this new season, but yeah, definitely got to be thinking positive even when you are 4-0 down.
Got to hope here for the Caren Tiger guys that I guess their tiebreaker curse isn't going to continue here. They're well known for not really being able to close out games when they probably should be. Obviously, that was quite evident yesterday. At 3-0 up, you would have expected they should at least be able to win that one. But anyway, it didn't happen. This time, they're now 4-0 up. Surely from this point, they can close it out.
Surely, you'd think so. But it is Caren Tiger, so I'm really not too sure. Like, you know, they've tried in the past, and it hasn't always worked. So, guess we'll have to see. For now, though, I think in terms of tank picks, you reckon we'll see some Udezes?
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. I don't know if either of these teams are going to be particularly keen to pick it up. We haven't seen the Caren Tiger picking a Udez or an STRV so far. Obviously, we saw DarkWolves picking up an STRV earlier on Prokhorovka, but it does seem like to me Caren Tiger, I don't think we saw them play it yesterday either. From that, all these matches that we've seen so far from them, I just don't think we're going to be seeing one from them. Maybe from DarkWolves, but it just doesn't feel like to me, that they're going to pick that one again. It didn't have that much success on Prokhorovka.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. There's no guaranteeing yet what both of these teams might pick. I would love to see another Udez, so maybe some more crazy picks. An Artie, even on the attack, wouldn't be bad.
Yeah,
DarkWolves
could definitely pick it up. M4043 would not be a bad choice here on Steps. It worked out last time for Meltdown on Steps, where they picked the M4043, but this time we'll have to wait and see what's going to come out from DarkWolves and Caren Tiger.
Caren Tiger, that's right. So I think Caren Tiger here, well, it's just about time to, well, take a look at how they will be rolling out. And the rollout on Steps, that's a very important thing as well, that these teams, may have changed up with their roster changes with the new season. And, whether the boost is still the favoured strategy. Be interesting to see whether it is by the end of this season or by the end of the next couple of weeks, I think, because often by the end of last season, we were seeing teams go up to that boost every single game. They were on Steps on the defense just about. And earlier today, we've just seen a great example of why it's may not be or may have some good counters that the teams have developed to it in the break.
Yeah, I do think it probably still is going to be quite an important part of the map on Steps. We've seen, so many times that boost can prove so critical in defending the 2 flag. So hopefully, or at least, I enjoy the boost, to be honest. I think it's a very dynamic part of the WGL. I think it's really interesting to watch how these guys can climb around the map. So I hope it stays, and I think it will.
Yeah. I think so as well. But here we are. Steps, of course, nice wide open map with lots of long, wide areas to shoot across. You've got the dried riverbed down in the eastern side of the map and a little bit of rocky area, rocky outcrop on the western side. Great for tanks like Grills. Anything with an accurate gun can do generally quite well on Steps, particularly if you're defending. Get up there on the boost, whether you're in an RU251 or the new Udez. Find out.
Well,
Udez.
There it is from Caren Tiger, actually. And Lorraine comes out for DarkWolves. So, bat chats across the board. Nothing particularly surprising. Caren Tiger actually on the attack, though, here with the Udez. That is a little bit interesting.
Okay. Caren Tiger on the attack here with Udez. Well, you're right. That is interesting. I suppose the question is whether Caren Tiger might be trying something like a river push and maybe heading down towards the eastern side, towards a 2 flag maybe with the Udez just right at the back. But then DarkWolves, they've got the Lorraine, so like a slow river push might be a little bit dangerous. And saying that, I don't think Caren Tiger are going to be going too slowly because they've got 5 bat chats.
Yeah, and a 113 as well. One of the quicker heavy tanks in the game. The Udez itself is not very slow. Would not be surprised to see them rushing in towards one of these 2 flags. But rolling out now on Steps. DarkWolves with that artillery piece. What can they get done with the Lorraine?
It is a very good question, Jordan. Not too sure if we'll find the answer to it just yet. It's looking like we have seen what I maybe even spotted out early on. The Udez is not just going to be going down towards that 2 flag, instead following the rest of his team, heading out towards the 1 flag out there, which actually could be a pretty good spot as well. You could sit out kind of around that C2 area with the Udez and
jump up on the top of that hill.
Yeah, exactly, and get some nice long range shots. Oh,
that was close.
Yeah, close. 430 damage. That's a good little shot there from Bat Kong, hitting a moving bat chat. Not the easiest thing to do as an RD player, sometimes, I could tell you that. But you can see here, DarkWolves actually going for a bit of a rotate now. They've seen that bat chat moved across or moved away from the 2 flag, so that they know it's probably going to be something like a 1 flag push. Love the repositioning there of the RD. Up there, going to give him a few more angles or better angles to fire upon. The rest of the DarkWolves in a pretty good spot to kind of pounce if they want to. Go over the center of the map. But again, we're seeing a lot of mobility coming out of Caren Tiger as well, rotating back down with 4 of their bat chats. It's a great thing when you pick so many of these super fast medium tanks is that you know, you can be spotted in one place, and 30 seconds later you're on the other side of the map.
Yeah, lots of decisions to be made here in the Caren Tiger camp. Let's go ahead and have a listen in and see what they're going to be saying in their chat.
このこと。
いや、それはやめた方がいい。俺がいるんだから被ってるでしょ、位置が。
いや、こっちに来たやつは殺すポジションだから、それ。
ああ、いや、でもいいよ。
実際に当たってないかな、俺のブラインド。範囲外なんだけど。
ただバットコン固まりすぎなんだよな。
1枚来たでいいよ。
1枚ここ来てくれてもいい。
あ、じゃあ俺そこ入るわ。
あ、オッケー。
もうキャップ普通に入っていいんじゃないこれ。
普通に入る？
普通に入っていいよ。普通に入っていいよ。だって前で見てる人いないでしょ。
これで
聞いてたの
る。
どうするこれ。なんか浮いてるな。でもヘリーですな。
どうすっか。
南に当て返し北用になんか置いとく？
ここにいれば。
うん、そこで
なんか
狙撃でいいんじゃない？
バット一番線路に呼ぼう。
バット代わりに線路。
だから南取りに来た時さ、1-3いたら相手結構嫌じゃない？
これあんまり早めに見ないよ俺これ引き込んでこう入れてからでもいい？遅くない？
いや、それがいい、それがいい。
遅くない。
だからここキルゾーンにするのあり？
ありあり、全然あり。
さんがいるじゃん、そのために。
ゆっぱちゃんお前隠しててそこ。
俺隠すの？オッケーオッケーオッケー。
でも出ててもいいけど。
いや、この辺にいてもよ別に1、3。
本当？
こっち
真ん中っていうのも一応ありるから。あ、この通路見てる。
So, Opalus getting himself onto that flag in the UDES. I wondered if that was actually going to be what they decided to do there, because obviously the UDES, pretty decent camo on that tank, being a tank destroyer. Going to be hard to spot. I guess fulfilling the role that the RU-251 or the 1390 typically does here on this map, and maybe allowing them to put a little bit more extra damage out. Who knows? For now, though, Mordame has been spotted out. Lambert looks like he wants to charge in here and try and get a bit of damage across. Not going to be given that chance, but some of those bat chats down towards the southern part of the map for the DarkWolves did get a couple of shots into Mordame.
Yeah, Mordame there going to be licking his wounds as he retreats. And interestingly enough, the UDES Opalisk is running with a Binox, coded optics, and the camo net. So very much a utility UDES, or a utilides.
Well, the utilities, as it's known, you just made that up. It's not known as that, but I guess it will be now. Polly's not in a great spot here. There's going to be an initial kill for Lambert, cleaning that one up quite easily. And it's essentially really a free bat shot. I mean, DarkWolves have not taken all that much damage in picking up that kill. So it's a good start here on the defensive side for DarkWolves.
Very good start. Not only a free bat chat kill, but Akiovi and Mudame really struggling in terms of the trades as well. They're both on 1370 and 1124 HP respectively. So a good chunk of HP has been taken off Caren Tiger. And so going to need to pull some fancy moves off to recover that and kind of get back into a even standing with the DarkWolves.
I think this is going to be my favourite part of having a point of view, is watching the arty.
Yes. That's great. He's
lining up the shot.
That's going to be...
Or Nadeko. He might aim for Nadeko here because that's the one that you want to hit.
Oh, no. Does he have to... Yeah, no. He's struggling now. He's struggling.
Well, in the meanwhile, Gomli has taken down Mordame. Yupa sitting still. That's never a good idea when there's an artillery on the field.
And fire.
Yeah, he's going to fire. Well, looks like that's gone miles away.
Didn't hit.
Yeah, Caren Tiger, though, in all sorts of trouble here. DarkWolves tearing them apart at the moment. Revolution, though, does go down to Nadeko, so there's at least something to write home about for the Caren Tiger, but Gomli trading that one out immediately. Lambert in a bit of trouble here. Should go down to Helkurai, and he does. Nadeko did waste a shell there, though, so maybe a little bit of poor communication between the Caren Tiger. Yupa completely ignored now. These bat chats, the favoured target for the DarkWolves.
Yeah, there we go. And with 4 members of Caren Tiger down so far, only 2 of the DarkWolves dropping. This is not looking good for them. It's going to be so hard for them to come back. And now that Helkurai is dropping even further below, well, below 0 right now, Yupa's getting torn apart. It is a systematic destruction of Caren Tiger. The Wolves are tearing them apart.
And Opalus just driving around. He's sort of like a mega AMX CDC. Not CDC, sorry. AMX. What am I trying to... You know, the tier 5 one. ELC, that's the one. It's like a bigger version of the AMX LC, but probably not quite as effective in that UDES. So I don't think that has worked out well at all there for Caren Tiger. The UDES, for me, a little bit lackluster, but across the board, their positions just seemed a little bit weird. They gave a lot of free damage early over to the DarkWolves.
Strange. Yeah, strange. I mean, is this the Caren Tiger choke
Is
that
it
we
the
know
Caren
and
Tiger
love?
choke? Well, I don't know if I necessarily love it, Alex, because it's sometimes a little bit frustrating to watch.
Yeah, you don't want Caren Tiger to lose the next 4 in a row?
Not really. No.
Well, sorry, they won't lose the next 4. They will lose the next
3
3
and then win the tiebreaker.
the tiebreaker.
Yeah,
exactly.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Why can't they close it out? I mean, it's just maybe it's some sort of mental block that's in the team. I don't know what it is, but that's just the way it seems to be for Caren Tiger. Hopefully this time they're going to be able to close things out on steps.
Hopefully. Oh, yeah, exactly. For their sake, I'm not too sure. But, well, Caren Tiger, they need to change a few things up. I think it's going to be easier to see after we look at the damage stats, what worked for Caren Tiger and what didn't. And the answer is Hellcry worked, everything else didn't.
Yeah, pretty much. Really, all the DarkWolves finally getting themselves up towards the top 7 for this battle. So that's their first win on the board. Binu, Gomli, Revolution, Caviar, Spitz all doing a pretty good job there. Yupa tried to get involved a little bit there with Hellcry, but apart from that, I mean, it's going to be a pretty woeful looking scoreboard, I got to say, I think, from the Caren Tiger here, because there was quite a lot of HP left on the side of DarkWolves at the end of that battle as well. So I'm expecting, you know, a few 0 to 1 shot tanks coming out there. A couple of the bat chats, maybe more Dame. I don't think he probably would have got all that much out. He got 2 shots. Akio V got 2 shots. Deco got 2 shots. Opalisk, maybe 2 in the UDES as well. But Polly, not a single shot of damage done in his bat chat. So
Not
just
great.
really disappointing there for Caren Tiger.
Yeah, not a fantastic result at all there by CT. Polly with the donut there, 0. Not going to be too happy with that. And I think Caren Tiger, here in the second half of steps, I feel like they're better on defense. They're going to be better on defense here. But overall, still just shaky from them.
Yeah.
Losing it out after winning 4 in such convincing fashion just about in all of them, and then just dropping that so hard.
Just felt like they got into really weird positions and didn't know what to do once they started taking damage. They just didn't know how to get out of the situation that they found themselves in. So, you know, maybe on the defensive side, that's going to be a little bit better for them. They're going to be the ones that are having their opponents come to them. They'll feel a little bit more comfortable. But again, it remains to be seen. I hope we get to see some interesting tanks coming out here from the Caren Tiger. We've seen them now that they're willing to pick the UDES. So maybe we're going to see that coming out here on the defensive side as well, on that boost like what we saw from Madhouse. Didn't work for Coalition Zoo, but who knows, it might work here for the Caren Tiger.
I think it can definitely work on the premise that the attacking team pushes that 2 flag. That's when it can work. I mean, that's what the boost is perfect at doing. It's great at stopping that 2 flag push because you can just get reset after reset after reset. Particularly with the UDES, you know, very, very low profile, very, very hard to hit. Even if you hit it, you might even ricochet off it as well because of that armor angle. So I'm liking that a little bit more if that is the case. If Caren Tiger do decide to lock in that Swedish Tier 8 tank destroyer and go for the boost up the mouse.
I mean, even if they don't head towards the 2 flag, it's just the pressure. It's basically saying you can't push the 2 flag.
Yeah.
It's not an option.
Yeah.
So that, to a degree, is some sort of exertion of pressure from that boost. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm hyping it up a little bit too much. I'll have to, I guess, reconsider throughout the rest of the season how well and how effective that boost is going to be used. So that's going to be an interesting storyline that we're going to have to watch. But for now, let's have a look at the tank picks through to the round.
Oh, we got an ML. An ML2 by Caren Tiger. And they're going to be going with another Tier 9, the T10 in their other slot.
Another Artie for DarkWolves as well.
Yeah. DarkWolves going with the Lorraine. Nothing else too crazy from them. They've got the TVP, which you don't always see on steps. A couple of 113s, but overall, I'm liking Caren Tiger's lineup here. Not going to be, well, they could boost with the bat chat if they wanted to, but don't know if they want to be doing that.
No, well, let's find out what they're going to be doing here as we head in towards steps. It is at the moment 4-1 in the favour of Caren Tiger. They need just one more to close out this series, and then we'll find ourselves with EL Gaming versus B Gaming to round out the night. But for the moment, still awaiting the result of this game.
Okay, so right now, Caren Tiger going to be pushing up a little bit towards the railway line from their initial rollout. Polly is going to be scouting down the south, maybe looking for an early push, and he has spotted out Caviar. He really needs to hightail it. He's been spotted himself, so needs to get out of there without taking any shots if he can. It looks like he will be able to safely, as DarkWolves don't know what else is around the place, so they're just waiting for their backup. In the meantime, Caren Tiger on the upper side, liking that little aggressive push there from Muda, mate.
Yeah, he's getting a fair bit of information. As soon as he peeks around this corner, he's going to recognize that there's no one there from the DarkWolves. I think Polly's got a bit of information as well. Did spot out Caviar early on in the piece, so Caren Tiger here probably do have a reasonable sort of suspicion that it's looking like a 2-flag push here from the DarkWolves.
It's looking like it right now. The DarkWolves moving up towards that 2-flag, and this is one of those scenarios where you've got to think, you know, it would have been nice to have an Udez up on that little boost, even, you know, an old school RU251 up there. But at the moment, DarkWolves can be making their way up, as Caren Tiger still just kind of mucking around the railway. They haven't quite realised yet that it will be a 2-flag push from the DarkWolves, as Gomley has taken the sneaky route down the bottom, which I like. And now when he comes up here, he should be spotted pretty soon by Polly on it. Polly's just gone down. Look at that.
Gomley did get spotted though. You can hear the 6th sense going off. DarkWolves as of yet haven't decided to get on towards that flag. It's given Caren Tiger quite a lot of time to rotate across to this eastern side of the map, and they're putting themselves in reasonable positions here. Polly just going unlit there. Batkong having a look in his direction, and he's obviously pre-aiming in the right sort of an area, but as of yet just waiting for those spots, and this could be crucial. If he hits a big shot here, you know, cripples maybe the Object 140 or the Bat Chat, or a Bat Chat, he could come up with something pretty big there. Come the spots shortly. I think Polly might have been spotted there by Lambert. At the very least, he fires a shot in that direction.
Yes, trying to get a few shots across. Akiev in the T10, they're going to be starting to push up now with the rest of Caren Tiger. And I'm liking how grouped up they are. They should be able to really hit the nail on the head, as they're going to be going down the south side, so the lower side of the dry riverbed, and engage the fight.
Yupa has already taken a fairly decent chunk of damage. Akio also in trouble, so these tier 9s leading the charge. But have a look at all of those Bat Chats coming in from the Caren Tigers, charging straight into all the DarkWolves Bat Chats, and that might not necessarily be the greatest of ideas. Hellcry taking a huge amount of damage. They do get the first kill, but is it going to be enough here? It's traded out immediately by the DarkWolves, and now Lambert charging forward in the 113. He's going to soak up a lot of damage from these Bat Chats, and surely they'll be clipping relatively shortly. Zenlorn, I think, might have used up all of his shots, and this has all gone wrong here for the Caren Tiger on steps. Nothing has gone right. Nadeko needs to pick up a kill here. He's not actually going to be able to clean up Lambert, because Lambert's gone behind that little mound, and Caren Tigers, they've just thrown away the entire steps.
Goodness.
Again, they can't close out these matches, and I don't understand why. They were 4-0 up, looking fantastic. DarkWolves had no chances in any of those first 4 rounds to even pick up a win, and now Caren Tiger
Mind-boggling.
just look lost.
They look super lost. I mean, look at this. They're gonna get completely owned off steps, and they've only taken down one member of the DarkWolves. Unless Zenlong can get another kill down here, which I he might be able to, but well,
Well, he does.
not sure if that counts as a ran. But yeah, okay. I mean, again, Caren Tiger so close to being a 5-0, but
Again, so far. It's just the same old Caren Tiger, really, isn't it? Even after those changes, you know, you can never. I'm never going to predict a 5-0 for Caren Tiger, no matter who they're versing, because it just doesn't seem like they have it in them.
I mean, they could be versing, you know, Twist or Run.
Yeah. No, if you remember, actually, I'm pretty sure Twist took it to 5-4 against Caren Tiger.
Yeah,
Remember, that
exactly.
was the match where they blocked that E100, or blocked the Bat Chat in the little thing in Ghost Town with the E100. That was Caren Tiger versus Twist.
That's right. Oh, back in the day. Good times. Good to reminisce. I feel old now, Elfishka.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not that old.
Really?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Anyways.
Yeah, so just I wonder what really went wrong there for Caren Tiger. I guess initially they pushed in. They had their tier 9 tanks sort of leading the charge. The Email took a couple of shots. Then the T10 took a couple of shots, or a shot before the battle started. And then the Bat Chats. They just they mustn't have known that those DarkWolves Bat Chats and that DarkWolves TVP were waiting for them down there. They thought maybe they could get a bit further along and find a better fighting position, but you know, they just ran into a massive stack of Bat Chats, and well, that's never going to work out. Let's have a look at the scoreboard again. It's going to be the DarkWolves.
Yep, the DarkWolves up the top. That 113 there of Lambert with 3.4 thousand damage spits there, 2.3k, and overall the DarkWolves, they're looking super strong with their play. And I mean, you've got to give a little bit of credit where credit's due. Yes, Caren Tiger, great at throwing stuff and really dropped the ball this one. But the DarkWolves, I really liked how they played very grouped up. And I think you can see that sort of reflected on the scoreboard there, where you've got lots of high damage dealers across the board. Those 113s really doing work at first and fifth position. Down the bottom there, back Kong into Lorraine. I mean, that's just a case where sometimes you don't hit stuff as artillery. You just can't help it occasionally, particularly if the opponent is moving. But overall, a very good team effort there from the DarkWolves. And that Emil, 1200 damage, did better than the T10, that's for sure. But you'd still like to be seeing maybe a couple more hits with that one.
Alrighty, so next map, Himmelsdorf, DarkWolves pick. Is Caren Tiger going to be able to pull this one back? Bring it back to a 5-2.
Surely they'll be able to pull it back on
5-3.
Surely they'll be able to pull it back on Himmelsdorf.
Have to hope so. I mean, they don't want to be letting any points go. They've already kind of thrown away a match against the Horsemen, which they were 3-0 up. Now they were 4-0 up, and it's 4-2, which is much better of a sort of a situation here for DarkWolves. And history states between these two teams, 5-4, 5-4, both times they versed each other last season. So is it going to be history repeating itself for the third time?
If it repeats itself again with the new rosters, not only on Caren Tiger, but you know, a new roster effectively on the DarkWolves, then you know, you got to wonder, does the team that the players are in, you know, kind of impact their play style? They're like, oh yeah, we've got to keep up the Caren Tiger legacy of never winning 5-0, always going to tiebreakers. I'm not sure.
I just want Caren Tiger to be able to do it, just to be able to win without taking it to a tiebreaker. I think probably like more than half of their games last season went to a tiebreaker, and well, if this one goes to a tiebreaker, then this would be half their games so far this season going to a tiebreaker. I don't want to harp on about it too much because I feel like that's really been what we've been talking about this entire time, but it feels like it's going to happen, doesn't it? It really does.
It feels like it will happen. And, you know, we didn't predict that. We predicted, what, 5-2, 5-2, 5-2 on opposite sides. I thought DarkWolves would be coming on top of this 5-2, which
I said 5-3 to Caren Tiger.
5-3, sorry.
So at the moment it's 4-2, so I guess I'd be kind of happy to see DarkWolves pick up one here and then get it closed out in the last round. But look, to be honest, I'm not so sure. Let's have a look at the stats here for Himmelsdorf for last season. Caren Tiger, pretty good on Himmelsdorf actually, 65% overall. And for DarkWolves, it was actually one of their better maps as well, 52% win rate overall. So I'm probably thinking this could go to a 1-1 depending on which side they start on. I think attacking side favored, so Caren Tiger can start on the attack. They probably close it out 5-2. If they start on the defense, they probably close it out 5-3.
Could do. Yeah, well, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Caren Tiger, though, look, I feel as though steps, maybe that was a little bit of a misstep for them by picking out one. And Himmelsdorf, it's kind of hard to screw up, I think it's safe to say. So could be Caren Tiger to close it out in this next one. You know, they can zone back in, really, you know, really say, okay, guys, let's, you know, joke's over, let's win it.
It is the Caren Tiger joke. It's the running joke of let's take it to the tiebreaker, but surely this time we'll see. We'll see. It looks like we're heading into Himmelsdorf. We've seen it a couple of times so far this season. Seen it today a little bit as well, and it's a map that's quite popular. Probably, I think, the most played map in APAC.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll have a look at the stats next week, but I'm fairly certain it would be.
For sure, for sure. And, you know, it's got lots of those tight corners, and it's a hard map to screw up, which is why I think our APAC teams like it a little bit. Yeah. But, you know, you can pick just heavy-ish tanks on Himmelsdorf and generally do well. But here we are. The heavy tanks have been picked in this next matchup. Caren Tiger going to be going with two 113s, two AMX-50Bs and a T10 for their heavies to complement a couple of Batchats, and the DarkWolves on their side going to be going all heavies apart from one Batchatillon 25T.
So, DarkWolves on the attack. That means I think it's going to be 5-3 here. I think DarkWolves able to pull off this first half of Frostorf.
Yep. Well, you're making that call, I think. Liking Caren Tiger's line up there. So I'm happy to go for CT. And it is going to be Mudame here we are rolling out with in Batchat 25T. Let's take a look at where CT are going to be heading out to on the defensive side. Very aggressive positioning early on, getting right down towards the railway.
They want to take the fight. Got those AMX-50Bs, the Batchat as well on Caren Tiger, but similarly, so do DarkWolves.
Spots.
They're pretty similar tank lineups between the two teams, but DarkWolves not giving anything to Caren Tiger just yet, but it does look like DarkWolves going to be starting to make their way down that banana, and that's probably a good decision here, although maybe I'm wrong. Hang on, hold the press. Caren Tiger have set up some nice angles in towards that banana, which I didn't realize, but they've actually managed to do a reasonable amount of damage on that cross for DarkWolves. I think that's worthwhile, and now Caren Tiger, they're going to start to rotate back up in towards that 2 flag quite quickly. Polly, in his Batchat, quite content to rotate around through the southern end of the map, might get himself up on towards the hill and try and deal with that Batchat of DarkWolves up there.
Yeah, potentially, but you're right. There was a great little crossfire situation that Caren Tiger set up there on towards the DarkWolves. And now Caren Tiger, they just have to rotate right back in towards that 2 flag, and they've got enough time to do so. DarkWolves didn't go kind of full bore down towards that 2 flag. Instead, they've just put Gomley in that T10 in towards that flag, tucked him in nicely, and they will start to get the pressure happening. So overall, I'm liking the start by Caren Tiger. It's not too bad. DarkWolves, yeah, they've got themselves close to the flag, but haven't really inflicted much damage, and I don't really think that a T10 is the best thing to be side capping a flag with.
Might be time to jump on board with the DarkWolves here and see how they're going to go about pushing into this 2 flag.
어차피 요쪽으로 진입하지 않을까. 이제 슬 보이겠지.
8번 라인 뒤로 돌아가지고 돌파하는 게
그러니까
가장
얘네가 함정 카드를
좋은데.
갖게 만들어야 돼. 들어온 거를 너네가 그때 보고 또 쫓아가는 게 아니라 바로 보고 그냥 때려버릴 수 있게 해야 된다고. 아 좋겠다.
그냥
이거 못 나오게.
몇 대 여기서 지금 대기하고 있을 거고 이렇게 들어오면서 싸먹는 식으로 할
지금 아래는 우리 50B가 보고 이쪽은 바샷이 보고 있잖아. 시야 다 따이니까.
아, 내 일을 잡았다. 씨. 아!
야 앞으로 전진할게.
야, 나 갇혔거든?
전진하자.
이쪽으로 와야 돼. 이쪽으로 와야
아,
돼.
갇혔어.
오케이.
하다가 뒤져.
바로 들어가?
전진하자. 50B들 나가가지고 바샷 묶고 단발들 전진해. 한 나눠 맞아야 돼. RR 밟으면 안 돼.
되지.
그렇게 하자고?
안 되지.
야,
이쪽에서
이거 안
홀드
돼.
해야
하다가
돼.
빼고 50B들을 올려서 이거 처리하고 단발들을 집어 넣자고. 적당히 나눠서 맞아봐. 똥꼬 다 대주지 말고.
간다.
오케이 가자. 단발 애들 앞으로 살살 가. 살살.
저기 있다.
라인전에
다 있는데 저기?
라인전하라고.
There we go, and it looks like the fight is now breaking out between the DarkWolves. They looked a little bit surprised when those Batchats came down the hill.
Yeah, it was a little bit interesting, a little bit chaotic, I think, in the communication there from the DarkWolves. And as you've said, they did seem a bit surprised by that Batchat, but now starting to deal a little bit of extra damage over towards the Caren Tiger. Binu does take down more Dame. Lots of shells missing Lambert and Gomley here. They're so low.
Close.
Just need one shell. Nadeko not even getting the ram kill. Not
7
enough
HP.
damage. And Zenlon, they're going to have to waste another shell here on Lambert. It's going to be Zenlon to get that kill. The Gomley should go down here to Nadeko once he's off the reload, but again, this has been sloppy from the Caren Tiger. They have had so many opportunities to pick up some kills they haven't capitalized on. Still though, it's not too bad at the moment. They have that player advantage. 5 versus 4.
Yeah, 5 versus 4, and they do have the HP advantage as well. Batkong's going to be in a lot of trouble if a full clip AMX-50B comes around. But no, that first shot has just ricocheted off. The WZ-111's turret just too strong for Hellcry's first one to get through, and Hellcry will be able to pick him up though, as it's looking like Caren Tiger should be able to I don't know, try and close this one out. They can't misstep though. DarkWolves still have a lot of damage on the field.
It is definitely still hanging a little bit in the balance, but with that kill now from Yupa, I do feel like that this is going to be going the way of Caren Tiger, so it should be 5-2. More than likely, Binu and Caviar just holding off for the moment, probably trying to reload. There is a shot coming out from them now, but probably too little too late. Yupa is a one shot, but Zenlon probably has enough HP here. Nadeko as well is going to take a couple of shots, so I think Caren Tiger should be all right.
Yeah, they should be. It's not like Caviar there might be just trying for a bit of a flank in that batch at 25T. As Zenlon not going to be able to spot out Binu just yet, so the DarkWolves regrouping, and we own that batch at 25T. A bit of getting a bit of a spin happening. Of course, Batchat being a very light tank can make those spins. And for those that don't know, Batchat 25T is actually named such.
Don't do this to me, Alex.
because it weighs 25 tons. No, sorry, Jordan and I.
You're a regular encyclopedia, Alex. I've never heard that one before.
We have a bit of a running joke going, but it is a fact. The Batchat weighs 25 tons and is hence named the.
No way.
It is.
I never would have guessed, Alex.
Anyways, Caviar here in his Batchat, going to be trying to make this work, turn it around. So to speak, only 2 members up for the DarkWolves. So Yupa there in that AMX 50B. He's about 1 shot. Polly, well, it's going to be a high roll, but it's doable in 1 shot, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But at the moment, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. It's not going to be easy for the DarkWolves to try and do this, particularly when Caren Tiger is set up like this. They've got a little family, little huddle. Huddle that they're in with, and Zenlon's just up the top because he's got 1500 damage. They can't alpha him. So yeah, at this point, particularly since Caren Tiger on the defense, I reckon they might even be able to close this one out.
Yeah, I mean, DarkWolves are trying to explore around the map, see if they can get themselves a free kill, get a pick, get the back of one of these tanks, maybe drop a couple of their shells in and clip then, and you know, go for another sort of engagement. And it is theoretically possible here for the DarkWolves. It's just highly improbable.
Yeah, I really think they need to, I don't know, get some really lucky shots or get a spot first on Polly and Co's little huddle, and then do like a kind of epic snapshot as they come around the corner that would, you know, need some RNG to be on their side as well, I'm sure. Right now, yeah, they're trying. I'm just not too sure what other options they have apart from going in. I mean, I suppose 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, they could just both get on the 1 flag and then just make a call when to get off it.
Yeah, potentially. Maybe you could put Caviar on there, have Binu in some sort of position where he might be able to get a couple of free shots across because they're so low on, because Binu's so low on HP. Maybe you want him to be a little bit safer, but you know, it's so hard to say at this point. Caviar is doing all the scouting. He might even proxy spot those guys if he gets close enough to the wall, but I don't think he quite was close enough there.
Oh, so close there. And if he comes around this corner, Zenlon may even spot him. Oh, or not. Oh, there we go, yes. Okay, so he has been spotted out there by Zenlon, and it's going to mean that he knows now roughly where Zenlon might be in one of those little hidey holes out there. That 113 amidst those tank corpses. Not too sure why he's going up. He's only got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. He's not going to be able to get down the hill and around in time. I suppose he's just waiting for Binu.
I don't really know. Maybe they've just decided to not even bother. Not sure, but do they even have enough alpha damage? Yeah, they do have enough damage in their clips to actually be able to take out all these Caren Tiger players without clipping.
Yep.
But they're going to have to hit their shots.
Yeah, and they're going to need to hit their shots within the next 60 seconds, so they do need to go. Caviar looks like he's made the call, and it will be Binu to follow him up on that AMX 50B with 155 HP. Can't rely on any ricochets in that one. Armor is not quite thick enough, so it's go time.
Well, Caviar certainly is going here. He's actually spotted out Zenlon, but that's not going to be an easy shot to hit, especially on the move. All he's going to be able to do is hit the turret of Zenlon, and
no.
That is pretty much that.
It's all gone wrong.
DarkWolves losing Caviar. It's Binu now with only 155 HP left on his tank. 30 seconds left on the clock. that's pretty much just going to be that.
Yep, he does not have enough damage to take out all of the Caren Tiger members. So Binu, well, they gave it a good little crack. I did sort of like the idea that they both rotate around, but at the end of the day, I think they both needed to go up the hill to really surprise Caren Tiger. And honestly, Zenlon, he was just in the perfect position to spot them out, even though they did that. And with those three, yeah, there's no chance that Binu would have survived for more than one shot anyway. So there we go.
He's actually going to survive in the end there, but not that it matters. Caren Tiger closing it out 5-2 there. So just avoiding the tiebreaker, which they have so often been finding themselves in. Good overall performance, I think, from the Caren Tiger. Probably would have liked to have seen them close it out there on steps, just to really hammer the point home that they were here to play. I still think there's a little bit of shakiness in that lineup.
A little bit. It's like it has its really brilliant moments, like we saw in their first games yesterday, and of course, well, their first 4 games today when they went 4-0. And then maybe there's just some maps that they need to practice a little bit, you know, like steps, because
Well, they picked steps though. It was their map pick.
honestly, I don't think our teams in APAC are that great at actually map picking, because we so often last season saw teams pick maps that they're just not good at.
Yeah, I kind of agreed to you to a point. I do feel like there might be some better map picks for some of these teams, but I digress. Let's have a look at the battle stats here. Yupa doing a fair amount of damage there for Caren Tiger.
Yep, Yupa with a 3.1k damage score in the end. Caviar not doing too badly either. In that batch at 25T, 2.7k damage there for him. And the rest of the scoreboard's not looking too bad, with Batkong in the WZ111 dealing 1914 damage, Accio V 1700 in his T10. So overall some pretty good numbers there, apart from Revolution in the 113, who only got 2 shots off and only dealt for 106 damage, Jordan.
Alrighty, well, it's, you know, look, I'm okay with that for the Caren Tiger. As long as they can close things out. I mean, that's probably a scoreline that you probably would have expected to see. I thought it was actually going to be 3 rounds on the board there for DarkWolves. But, yeah, Caren Tiger, I think they should be pretty happy with that. After the performance they had yesterday, it's good to come back with a win in day number 2.
100%, yeah. Good to get those points on the board, of course. I'll be interested to see how the standings look at the end of our first week, particularly with some teams like B Gaming playing 3 games at the end of it. So it's very hard to pick, and Caren Tiger winning 1, losing 1 so far. I think, like you said, a little bit more expected. Yeah, well played to them.
Alrighty, well, that's all that we've got from match number 2 today. We still have one more match coming up. After that one, it's going to be EL Gaming versus B Gaming. We're going to go to a quick break, but in about 10 minutes, we'll be back with our final match of tonight.